Well, g'day everybody. My name is Sam Marwood. I'm co-founder and CEO of Cultivate Farms. Welcome to our next Cultivate Farms webinar. This one, and it's backed by popular demand, is going through the 7 steps to you getting farm investment ready. These sort of webinars, handing this information out, is the reason why we started Cultivate Farms. You want to own your farm. We get it. I wanted to own my farm, and I still have that dream. And this is an accumulation of all of our knowledge over the last 5 to 6 years, getting farmers onto the land. We haven't seen an organisation like ours in Australia. I don't even think in the world focused on ownership, farm ownership. We have exciting things have happened, are happening, and will continue to happen. And especially for yourselves around farm ownership, it is absolutely possible, and we want you to keep going. And I hope you've been following our journey over the past 5 years. Some have, and people have been jumping in over the last few years as well. And no doubt you've got this inkling, which is why you're here today, that you want to own your farm. You know it's hard, and we're here to say it is hard, but it's absolutely possible. And so you need to be leaving this workshop, this session, full of confidence, but also knowing that there's a bit of work ahead of you, but it's all in your hands. That's always what we say. This is about you figuring out what you want in life and then going for it. And we're saying there is a pathway. So again, thank you for your time. You are giving up your hour and a half, and just want to confirm we'll make this 90 minutes. And again, we're recording if you do need to head off a bit early, and we can set it around after. So owning a farm is a big goal. It's a big thing, and it's a big ask. But again, it is possible. And again, this webinar is designed to give you those ideas on how to get investment ready, how to get a proposal ready, how to get, whether it's for investors or for retiring farmers, how to get yourself ready so you can continually be putting yourself in front of people who could partner with to own a farm. Because that is the, I guess that is the underlying thesis of Cultivate Farms, is that you don't have the money in your back pocket to buy a farm, but there are other people out there who have a farm that want to share it, and there's other people out there who have money and don't know or don't want a farm and want to back you. So this is about you preparing yourself to get in front of those people, so that one day one of them says, "You're the best, we're partnering." So we're going to give you these ideas, but also we're going to talk about our Cultivator program, which no doubt you've heard about, kicks off in May. So if you want help doing all of this, we really highly recommend you jump into that program. I am heavily biased. I do think it's an awesome program. And again, it is probably the core thing that we do as Cultivate, is get you ready. And that program is designed to do that. We'll talk through that near the end as well. You don't need to put your video on. You sit back with your cup of tea and enjoy. Jump on the chat though. We'll ask a few questions throughout. I'd love to get your interaction as we do that. But basically get your pens or your laptop out and get typing. We will be, again, sending this video around and send you whatever you need. This is all just for you to digest and utilize. So now I'm going to introduce you to our coach and farm analyst, Tim Pilkington. Tim is the lead for Cultivate Farms when we match farmers. So Tim is the one who talks to our retiring farmers, next gen farmers, and also our investors. So he's a bit of a matchmaker, which I don't think Tim ever thought he'd be a matchmaker 10 years ago. But ultimately, that's what it is. He pulls apart your farm, pulls apart what you want out of life and your numbers, and connects you with the right people. And so Tim is the one who's going to take us through Cultivator and this webinar as well today. So I'm going to jump out and I'll jump in throughout the session, but I'm going to hand over to you now, Tim. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. And thanks everybody for coming on this morning. Really appreciate you giving up your time and being here today. I think one of the things we really want to help everybody have this opportunity. Like Sam and I have both been involved in ag all our life, and it's something we're both really passionate about, and helping people get onto properties and understand how to get into their own farms is in this current environment, it's reasonably tough, but there's a way of doing it. And that's what Cultivate is here to do. And also one of the other things about Cultivator is it's your opportunity to work with people like me and Sam, who are connected with all the investors that can actually, and when we get to know you and trust you, we can use that trust to put you up in front of the right kinds of people. This morning's talk is going to be based a lot around the pitching template that Cultivate have developed. And it's an excellent document, and when it's used really well, it's a great way of actually communicating your story to investors in a way that they understand. And today is probably about teaching you some of the things behind that and how to fill that out so that you present things in a great way. So communication and how you talk to investors is really important. Understanding their language, what it is they're looking for, and how to put your story up in a way that they want to interact with you is probably the key thing. So what I might just do is we'll just get into the presentation a bit. So again, Cultivate Farms, it's our investment readiness formula. It's about getting you ready to get in front of investors and how to speak to them so that you're speaking their language effectively. And that's based around this farm pitching template. And we'll go into a little bit about me, but I've worked in ag investment and actually doing due diligence for different properties. And when I saw the farm pitching template, it was just a really great baseline document that you can use. And so it's a great cheat sheet. And it's well and truly worthwhile looking and using and utilising really well. Let's go. So I suppose just in the chat, if you can all just put in there, number one, where you're from, why do you want to own a farm, and what are your current barriers? So, just to get a bit of an idea of where everybody's from and what's going on, if you can just put that in there. And Sam, I might just have to get you to call out some of the answers, mate, just so I know what's going on.
Yeah, the chat feature's a bit funny on Zoom sometimes, but who's going to be first? Definitely just keen to hear, a bit about why you're all here today, and just reconfirming that we're going to hit the issues that you have.
So we've obviously got a couple here from Western Australia. Samantha, and so Samantha, just a quick one. Why do you want to own a farm, and what are your barriers? So Scott's from Sydney, and why do you want to own a farm, Scott, or what do you want to learn today, effectively?
That's great. And Samantha's been in touch around this one. I think this one's a bit of a different one, Samantha, which we love. And I think that's the thing, is everyone's got a different model. I think it's about activating your 30 acres, isn't it? And getting someone in to help make the vision happen probably a lot faster than probably what you could do at the moment.
So Scott wants to return to the land after many years. And what are your barriers to that, Scott? And part of this is just so that when I'm going through this document, that I can answer some of your questions. So I'm trying to tailor some of these things. Otherwise, it'll be fairly generic in what we're doing.
Should I turn off my mute, Tim? Is that better?
Oh, well, you're here, Scott. You might as well tell me what's going on.
Can you hear me now? That's easier than talking.
I can hear you.
Sold a family property, 3,000 acres in the Central West many years ago, and sold that, and been in business in Sydney, but for years, and sold that business, and now would like to return back to a reasonably productive farm. I think it's a great store of family wealth, or a great thing for the younger generation to progress with, and a basis for learning for them, apart from income for the family. That's the main reason. But the last 2 or 3 years, with the increase in prices, it's been very difficult to be able to find something that's viable.
Yeah, and part of what I do a lot of the time, Scott, is just pulling apart farm plans and where people are going, and then try and look at different unique ways of maybe creating more value. And so that's what we try and look to do. But yeah, it's definitely been interesting and tough with the way prices have shifted to find good value properties, but they're out there, and it's just a matter of again, if you're going to connect with investors, making sure you understand how to create value and, how to work with them as well.
Yep.
So we've got Northern New South Wales, current leasing short-term on a reliable long-term lease or to buy and land. Dollars is the barrier to finding leasing opportunities. Yep. Lake Car Jelligo. Scale up. Yep.
Yeah, scaling farmers is we get a lot of farmers coming through who've got some land already, or operating. And I think that's the best way to do it. You've got something already, whether it's assets or livestock, land, and then use that to prove to others you're good with what you've got. And it's just you need more scale. That's it. It's a big driver for many.
So and then Doverton, Camden, New South Wales want to get away from the city. Simpler life. Yeah, there's a lot of that at the moment. Be my own boss, which is great. And getting the kids out and away from and getting them into something that's real that they can touch, away from screens. So no, all good. Just we've got here that's making some noise. I can just hear someone repeating back at me.
All good, mate.
All good? Excellent. Thank you. So, I mean, a lot of this, so we're looking at a few people that have either got ag backgrounds, looking to scale, or looking for that simpler life. So I've got a bit of a variation here. And what we're basically looking at doing is helping you guys understand who you are, what it is you're doing, and then how to sell that story to an investor. Sometimes it's understanding who you are and where you're going with a business plan and how to sell that to a bank. Similar sort of conversations, but slightly different in how you talk to them. So, righto. A bit about me. There's me, my wife, and 5 kids. We've got a bonus one. We went for 4, and we've got a second set of twins. I've been an ag all my life. Grew up on a family farm in North South Australia, and have worked as an agronomist and farm business coach consultant for 15 to 20 years now. I've done a small tour of duty in ag investment and for a firm based out of Melbourne, and understanding that process, the due diligence, and what investors are looking for and how to talk to them. And I currently run my own business as a farm business consultant, and we work alongside Cultivate Farms for a lot of what we do. And a lot of that is around helping farmers like yourself or people who are aspiring to farm to understand how to set out a business plan, do due diligence, and how to set up things so you can talk to investors with confidence. So we've been in and around the Cultivate program for about the last 18 months. And it's been a great, rewarding experience. But so what I'm here to do in this whole process, as Sam says, I talk to the investors, I talk to the retiring farmers, and I talk to the aspiring farmers like yourself, and sort of act as that conduit between everybody to try and match up good opportunities with good young farmers. So it's great fun, and it's good to work with people like yourselves that are trying to go places and do things. I really enjoy it. So what are we here for today? We're here today to sort of understand your farm ownership pathway. Now, we're all here in some levels to either scale or get into agriculture. And we understand that there's a few issues around how it is we can go about doing it. And if you weren't passionate about what it is you wanted to do, you wouldn't have given up your time this morning. But obviously, there's a few questions about how it is we go about doing this. It's about, are you looking to follow a well-trodden path or blazing a trail? Now, we understand if you go and try and blaze a trail, it's a lot of hard work. You make a lot of mistakes. The well-trodden path is a lot easier to walk along. And today's about Sam and I sharing our last 10 years worth of experience in this space, in what, how to go about talking to investors, how to set up a business plan and all the rest of it to make it easy for you guys. So part of that is our farm pitching template. And at the end of this, hopefully, if you go through our process, you'll have the opportunity to pitch to an investor panel. So hopefully all of you out here who are keen on farming and keen on this process would love the opportunity to set up, put a business plan together, and have the opportunity to pitch in front of an investor panel with the opportunity to get your own farm. I'll just get Sam. Can you jump in? We'll just stop share. Can you just jump in? This is Adam Gibson, one of our other coaches, and he's talking to one of our past Cultivate attendees, and just talking about her process and what she went through. So.
Sorry, I'm on mute. But yeah, Andy's an absolute champion. And I guess we want to show you this just to show you it's possible. Andy was in a similar situation where I think most of you are now. And she pushed through, and you'll hear the barriers that she pushed through and the bloody mindedness she had and Hayden, her husband, to make it possible. So this is a bit of an inspiration type video. And we'll just play for a few minutes just to give you the vibe.
Andy, tell us where you were a year or so ago and what you guys were hoping to achieve and where you're sitting and what you were concerned about. Tell us where you're at a year or so ago.
Sure. So 12 months ago, well, actually last June, we got notification that our ideal farm that we'd had our eye on for many years was for sale. We kind of put our names out there several times to say, if you ever sell it, please come to us. And basically he said, no, it's not for sale, it's not for sale, it's never going to be for sale. And but someone had a big corporate entity had come to the party and said, we will buy it, we'll give you $1 million and we'll buy it off you. So he said, okay, well, it's actually for sale now, and offered it to us. And there was no way. We went to the bank and they said, no way, not going to happen, you can't do it. So we then threw our hands in the air and kind of, well, what do we do? This is what we want. It's right next door to our current small farm. It's everything we ever wanted. So we then joined up and did Cultivate this time last year, and put together our Tiger team, had Sam and Adam having our backs the whole time. We paid our money. And
just before you go to that, right, just tell us what was the decision with Cultivator like for you? Like, what prompted you to do it? Was it just they had this opportunity, or what was the how were you feeling about it? I guess is what I'm asking.
We were just, I think Hayden was depressed. Like, there's no doubt about it. It was awful. It was a really bad life. What are we going to do with our lives? We were basically ready to put all of our stuff in a shipping container and just go around Australia, because what else were we going to do? You know, if we couldn't do this, what were we going to do? It was we were kind of at a bit of a loss to what we were going to do with our lives, because we had our heart set on it. And so then basically we signed up with Cultivate and with the Cultivator program last year. And as I said, we kind of, we put our money where our mouth is, and we committed to the program. And then the farm sold to someone else. Like, obviously the other people came in, they bought it, it was gone, it was sold, and we pitched for many different farms, and they all sold to all big corporate entities who had more money than what we did. But in that process, in that time frame, we managed to put together, we got a great bank manager who supported us and basically said, yep, I have confidence in you. We put together our Tiger team of our accountant, our solicitor, our bank manager, all the people who were surrounding us, all our agents and our agronomists and everything who were backing us. We spoke to everybody we possibly could, who would listen to us. I can talk a lot, so I was telling everybody, this is what we want to do. We put together our pitch, and I actually over Christmas was talking to relatives and telling them what we wanted to do and how we also, at our weekend, and we were doing this project. What did they think of it? And they basically said, well, we'll help you out. And so they came to the party, and they've come on as private investors for us, and they actually put in, so we're paying them interest only, our arrangement that we came up with. We're paying them interest only at 4%, which is pretty handy for them, and it's not much more than what we're paying the bank for the rest of the funds. And they're happy with that. We're going to reevaluate the arrangement in 2 years, and basically we think at that point in time the current market rates of property we're hoping that we're going to be able to just refinance that and just pay them out in 2 years, or we'll reassess it anyway. But that gave us enough working capital with our, because we had harvest check as well, because we do a little bit of share farming with the neighbour, so we were able to come up with harvest check in the meantime last year as well. So that gave us a bit of capital for ourselves, and the deal that was on the cards for the property, our dream property, it all fell through for the big corporate that came in, and well, that stage by the time it all fell through, we came in with our investor, our bank manager, our accountant, everyone, and we just swooped in and just said, can we please have it? We are so serious. Oh, in this space of time too, sorry, just while this was all going on, Hayden literally, I think, sent 18 emails, like no joke, saying, please, if this falls through, we are here, we are ready, we are trying, please, 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 and like just basically hounded the vendor so that if anything did fall through, that they would think of us first, and it did. So don't give up hope, because if something looks like it's completely hopeless, just keep trying, because we're proof that really anything is possible if you just keep hounding people and keep at it and don't give up. You can get there. So.
I think I said it.
And I think that's the key message. They were ready. They went through this process Tim's going to go through, and they had their team, they had the money, they'd secured an investor, which is massive. And then it was just a matter of waiting for that farm and, well, in this case, hustling and hassling for that farm. Yeah,
it's all about attitude, basically, isn't it, Sam? And tenacity and wanting to have a go. These sorts of things aren't easy. They never are. But if you've got the right attitude, we can help you make it happen effectively. So it's about showing up, great attitude, and being confident in what you're doing, because that's part of the process, is being ready to go and having confidence. If you don't believe in yourself, why should anybody else? So, but that you can see that in Andy in the way she spoke, and that's part of this, is to give you the tools and the ability to go and do this. So that then you've got the confidence when you're talking to people and investors, you've got the system in place, you've got everything behind the scenes ready to go, so that then they have confidence in you because you're professional, you've got everything in front of them, and you know how to talk to them in their language, and gives you the ability to act, and they'll take you seriously. So back to that. So a bit of a what to expect from today. An overview of the farm pitching template and mentoring program we offer. We'll give you an outline of what happens, and if you're great at what you're doing, you'll be able to go and do a farm pitching template from this, and go to your investors. If you want help at the end of this, obviously we can help you, and we'll talk about that. It's a 90-minute roadmap for further training or help will be necessary somewhere, I'd say. You heard Andy talk about the fact that she needed, her Tiger team, her team of advisors. Getting the right people around you is a strength, not a weakness. So understanding that. Probably today we'll highlight a bit of what you don't know. So it's a bit of some new learnings and some highlighting some areas that you need to go and work on. We'll give you some next steps and resources if you continue. And an invitation to make a decision today to join us, which we'll talk about at the end. Like I said, we'll give you the skills, give you the outline of what it is you need to do. If you want more help and you're serious about where you're going with wanting to become a farmer, we would love to help you. And if you've got any questions, hold them over to the end, and we'll happily go through it. You've got an opportunity to ask both Sam and I anything you want to know today about owning your farm and what it is, potential things you want to learn to take out of this to go on your way. Your opportunity to use our time for free today. So recommend you get in there and ask any questions. So this is just an outline of a couple of people who've done Cultivate recently, Damien, Tony Maloney. This is a 2-pager. And this is one of the things you'll learn, or that you need to be able to produce when you go and talk to investors. This is your calling card, your business card. All investors, when you go to see them initially you put out this just high-level 2-page document that basically outlines the investment highlights, what's in it for them, what are you bringing to the table, and it's that ability for them to look at what you potentially have in a very, very quick glance to see if they're interested. If you get one of these to investors, this is one of the things you can go and hand out to a lot of different people. Then you get the phone call back from them saying, hey, this is great, I want to know more. Then you step into confidentiality agreements and you brought a document that this is basically a distillation from, that gives them an understanding of, everything else we're about to go through today, effectively. And that'll be there should be a 25 to 35 page document with everything else. And this is the highlight, your calling card. So these are the things you need to be able to think about and do when you're talking to investors. They expect this sort of thing. And you can sort of see there, they've got, total investment, farmer contribution, bank contribution, livestock, and understanding of what's in it for the farmer, for the investor, 3% lease per annum, soil carbon credits. These guys had worked on the farm that got sold to Bill Gates for carbon credits. So they've got a track record in their skill set of developing carbon credits to a point where they can be sold. And there's a lot of interest in that space at the moment, obviously, and it's a good selling point for them. So that's sort of a headline for them. And they're well into the process of getting on their farm effectively. This next one, Elmore Compost, Frank Harney, we'll see a video from Frank later on. And it's his pitching video. It's something that we sort of do nowadays as well. It's that next level of just that video communication, who you are, what you're about, give people a bit more of a touch and feel. And it's like a 2 to 3 minute pitching video that gives them a bit more detail on you. We'll see Frank's video a bit later, but again, the investment highlights, capital growth, what we're expecting, about his business, and a bit about himself. So these are the sort of documents you need to be able to produce so that you can take to investors as your business card that they're interested in talking to you. So the problem, which some of us have sort of highlighted in the chat earlier on about the farm values, they're rocketing upwards. How do we find good value? How do we get scale? So how do we sort of deal with that and get on farm and sort of chase our dreams? And the other part, obviously, we've got aging farmers on land and they're selling up and coming up with a different option for them. Not all of them want to go and sell to a big corporate and take the money and run. We do get farmers, and we have got farmers in our system that are looking to help young farmers come through. So how do we match up those opportunities with those people? Dealing with banks, they need equity, proof of income for a number of years. And banks are getting harder to deal with. We also run a finance broking business on the back of the fact that banks have changed how they deal with our clients. And they're not as reliable as what they used to be, and not as hungry for business as what they were 5 years ago. So it's getting harder to get that track record to get in there in front of them. So getting that cash from that normal source of income is getting harder and harder. Securing private investment is a great opportunity to fill that void and get people in there. But having the training experience to deal with this, most people haven't got. You don't have support, adequate business plans, your financial plans, understand their investment proposal or how to present a pitch, your farm proposal. And it's one of those things I think initially when I started working in ag investment 10 years ago, thought it was this big complicated scenario, and how do we do all this? You find out over time that most things are pretty simple when you understand the formula and how to work with people. But it's just understanding, how do we communicate with people? How do we write something up? How do we put things in a format that they understand? So it's getting those skills. Because they're not common skills out there. It's not something that everybody knows. And usually people like me hold these skills to our chest pretty well because we can then control what's going on. So we get to be the gatekeeper So this is where this program's fairly unique, that we actually go through this for people coming through. What happens for the future of farming? We get more corporates taking over. Our communities disappear. Watching our smaller farming communities disappear as the farmers get bigger and bigger. And who are handing over our custodianship of our land and their food system to? We're in a situation now where Bill Gates, I think he's the biggest farm owner in the US, now investing big into Australia. We're sort of centralising that system, and is that where we want to go as a community? I don't think so, but that's my opinion. Cultivate Farms pitching template. So what are we trying to do? Number one, we need to understand your why and why we do things. For those of you who haven't seen that Simon Sinek video on find your why, or people find your why, and understanding that people buy why you do things, not what you do. Go and watch it. I think it's probably 15 years old. It's a great video. It'll be on YouTube. But understanding your why and why you do things, and that gives you passion and drive. Your values, why, your values are really key to what you do and why you do things. Your vision and your mission, making sure they line up with your values and why, so that you feel energized and you feel great about what you're doing when all those things line up. Your roles within the farm and what it is you're trying to do. Your 5-year goals, your 12-month goals, and your 3-month rolling plan. I hope all of you out here have got 5-year goals, 12-month goals, and 3-month rolling plans. And it's a really empowering thing to go and do. And it's some of the best conversations I've had with farmers of all kinds around lifting their eyes around where they're going and what it is they're doing, and using those longer term goals to drive their 12-month and 3-month decisions, and really making sure what you're doing on the day-to-day are driven by those big things and not by the little things that we tend to get hung up on. So the Cultivate Farms pitching template. Number one, we're going to choosing your farm. Why do you want to farm? And make sure you've got that well worked out and well articulated. What are your financial needs and what are your lifestyle needs? So going back to those 5-year plans and what's happening, making sure that your personal goals are driving your business goals. So this is more talking about you than the actual farm, and understanding that, so that when you're sort of congruent with what it is you're doing yourself, the investment decisions and what it is you're trying to do and what it is you're trying to pitch to investors make sense. So why do you want to farm? Be really clear on that. What it is about this. So then we can, the kind of farm you're looking for. What are your financial needs and your lifestyle needs? And this is one of the things we often work with all sorts of business people on. We're great at understanding, we'll talk about farmers, great at understanding how many acres they want, how many cows they want to run, how big the cows are going to be, how many kilos per hectare they're going to pull off, how many kilos per head of wool they want, tons per hectare of grain, whatever it is. Really good at understanding those sorts of key performance indicators, but not understanding sort of what it is they want for their life. Now, when you understand what it is you want for your life, so what happens when we get caught up on those things, we go out there and they work 18 hours a day to try and make those things happen. They don't think about their life. And in the meantime, everything else is going pear-shaped. So what we work with farmers on is actually thinking about what they want for their life, what it is they want to achieve, how much money they need to achieve that, how many labour units, what sort of infrastructure they need around the property, how that all sets up. And then we try and create a business plan around that and drive towards that. And often when you start to talk like that, people change their thought process and their goals, and you can get alignment between everybody within the business. So you've obviously got, often there's a husband and wife, there might be different generations involved as well. But trying to tease out the lifestyle goals that everybody wants, and then saying, well, to create everybody's lifestyle goals, we need this business. And then we create a business around that. And then that, it creates a lot of happier business. So when you're going to go to an investor, you're going to start a new business, make sure you understand that before you start and you drive towards that. Otherwise, you'll get 3, 4, 5 years into it and you'll be miserable because you're chasing the KPIs around production and you've forgotten about the reason why you're doing it. If money was no object, would these answers remain the same? So that's a really key thing. And it's, you can go and find money to do things. So you're better off trying to set up where it is you want to go off of what's in here rather than those other production KPIs. Big barrier to investment is deal size. And that's interesting at the moment because, yeah, that is a problem in getting people invested. But I think that's getting easier as we get more and more people looking to invest in agriculture. And making sure you define your ideal farm before you start. So the solution is to become investable. So using that Cultivate farm pitching template, choosing your farm, yes, that 7-step process, choosing your farm financial model, your business model and investment proposition, prospective operations, risk analysis, understanding how to do that, your farming profile, why you, really critical thing. You need to understand who you are and what it is you bring to the table and have confidence in that. If you don't have confidence in yourself, why should anybody else? So it's about how we develop those skills so you have that confidence. Your documentation and your presentation, how you go about that to make sure that makes sense, and your 3-minute investment pitch. So they're the 7 things we sort of work with you guys on, and would encourage you to, if you're going to do this on your own, to work out how to create these or answer these 7 questions effectively. Choosing your farm. We start off with the big 6: location, scale, infrastructure, soil type, condition, and rainfall. So understanding all those things and why it is you've got that. So when we write a farm pitching template, this is one of the first things that come up. The initial thing we'll put up there is the investment summary. The investment summary is the last thing you write. It's the first thing the investor sees. That's sort of the thing that comes out at the end. But obviously location, why that location? Why would someone want to buy a farm there? Why that scale? Scale makes a big difference depending on where you are and what's going on. Obviously, most of you understand that, but you need to articulate that. The infrastructure that's there and what infrastructure you might need. So if you buy a bare block, are you going to need to spend $500,000 on infrastructure to get it up to standard? Soil types, really, really critical. If you can't get soil tests, generally you can find some online, you can find soil maps that will give you a good concept of what's going on. Conditions and rainfall. Rainfall you get off BOM, Bureau of Meteorology websites. Should be able to get you 12-month, rainfall. There's another one called Climate app. So CLIMATE, same as climate, but it's spelled climate.app. And that's a great one for all sorts of different types of assessments around weather. Sometimes if I'm looking at 2 different properties, I'll assess different frost risks, and I'll use that as a way to say, right, frost risk here versus frost risk there. This is why this is a better buy. You might not have to do that in a farm pitching template, but it's just understanding those sorts of details. So when an investor goes, hey, I want to buy a Condobolin versus Cootamundra, what's the difference? You need to be able to sort of talk about it. The value angles, opportunity for productive improvement. So, if we go and buy this farm, can we go and improve the productivity? And it's one of the things that this is one of the best ways of creating wealth in agriculture over long term. I think Liam Lenigan from Go Farm did a report on this a few years ago, basically stating it's been the biggest creator of wealth in Australian agriculture, and that's why Go Farm, if you haven't heard of them, they're an investment company based out of Melbourne. They've basically done everything around buying farmland and improving its productivity, usually by shifting into different irrigation schemes, taking it from grazing to horticulture or something like that. But it could be as simple as taking something we've got now and changing the fertility of the soil, bring in different practices. And obviously, if you improve the underlying productivity of the asset, that's going to improve profitability off the farm, and that should increase the value of the property over time. So soil health, if you can improve that, biodiversity and drought resilience. So there's a lot of interest at the moment on soil health and biodiversity, regen farming, like things like that. So if you can talk to those sorts of things, and a lot of our investors are looking to make an impact. So impact investing is where they, obviously we're looking at longer term environmental impacts on the community and the soil and the farm asset. And most people who are looking to invest want to know that we're looking after those things. So if we can bring those sorts of concepts in and help people understand that and improve the productivity and profitability of the assets, that's a great value and great sort of value angle for you to be looking to work on. Farm location. Why is the location in Australia a good place to invest in the farm rather than others? I think KPMG have got a great report on the interweb on that. Australia versus other places, access to Asian markets and things like that. So understanding where Australia sits in the world, geopolitically stable as we speak compared to a lot of other places. So it's a great place to invest like that. But also why within Australia is that place a good place to invest? So understand that. What access do you have to different infrastructure, rail corridors, ports, things like that. Why would we be going there? So, and you should be able to compare it to other areas and say, this is why we want to be here. And this is why it's going to be the best for this sort of operation. Capital growth, this is one's it's been really hot the last couple of years, hasn't it? Because everybody's starting to flood their money into hard assets. And obviously things have grown quite a lot. So, understanding capital growth prospects and where they're at now and where they're likely to go in the future, looking at the asset as an opportunity for capital growth. So, is it overvalued? Is it undervalued? Is it fair value compared to everywhere else in Australia? That's the question you should be able to answer yourself. It's a question you should be looking to look at when you make any decision. We don't want to just go and buy a farm next door because this is where we're at. If, we're completely overvalued on capital on that farm asset. So we want to make sure that when we're buying it because it's good value or fair value. We're spending an investor's money here. We want to make sure that they're getting good value. Make sure you're spending it like it's your own and you're buying something that's good value. Is it the best place to grow the produce? You should be able to answer that question. Capacity to improve production. So again, going back to that story before around improving the value of the property, can you improve the productivity or is it capped out at the moment? Land price and value, what's the farm's price relative to previous market results? You should be able to go in and get reports on that. If you need help over time, I think we're getting to the point where we can provide those reports to you, so come to me. If not, you should be able to go on to realestate.com and just find previous results and put that in there and justify why this is a good buy. So you need to be able to lay out to the investor in clear terms that these are the recent sales in this area. This is the median price. This is why this is valued at this much. And there might be reasons with soil types and other things that are going on that make it more expensive, but still good value. You need to be able to articulate that to the investor so that they understand what's going on and why you're spending this money in this area and how it is you're creating value for them. So what's your value angle? So we'll go over some of these things we've sort of spoken about. What differentiates you from different farmers? Will you be able to rezone the farm in time and therefore increase, land value? I'm living on the outskirts of Albury at the moment. We've got a dairy farm up the road here. I can't remember how many tens of millions of dollars he's worth at the moment. he's just right on the edge of town. There's going to be 50,000 people live out in this part of Albury in the next 30, 40 years, apparently. And his return on capital at the moment will be absolutely terrible just because his farmland is worth so much. But, you know, that's a rezoning opportunity. So those sorts of things there, you know, can you go and buy this farm for X amount and will it potentially get rezoned in a couple of years' time or 5 or 10 years' time? Could you farm it for the next 10 years? Because you're near the edge of a regional centre that's going to get rezoned. Will it get rezoned into something you can irrigate? Things like that. Will you dramatically improve crops or improve soil health? So something you should be able to look at. And there's still opportunities out there in Australia to do this sort of work. There's still places that we can go and put into and increase soil health and productivity. And it might be crops, it might be grass production or whatever it is that you're growing. There's opportunities out there to do that. You know, is there new infrastructure coming in town that's going to improve your productivity? You know, so there's abattoirs here, rail corridors, things like that. Opportunities. You know, there might be a new packing plant coming to town that's going to export grain or things like that. You know, will that make it easier for you to access markets? So, you know, the value of the farm might not be there now, but we can see in 5 years' time if we can keep things together. When this new infrastructure comes in, that you can actually capitalise on that, and that's going to help, you know, land values. Are you able to secure land for well under the market value? And these opportunities come up. We had one last year with a retiring farmer who wanted a young farmer to come through and take on the property. And they didn't want to sell to corporates. And they had a whole heap of reasons in the background of, you know, personal reasons that the farm meant something to them and they didn't want to let it go to a corporate, and they wanted to help their community. And they were willing to forego some money. It was an amazing story. And they end up getting a local family friend's son to come home and you know, and help take over. So they're out there, and it happens. You know, if you're in the right place at the right time, sometimes you can come across those things. Do you have a retiring farmer on board who's going to retain a large portion of equity and transfer knowledge? So those opportunities are out there as well. We've currently got an opportunity with a dairy farmer in Northern Vic who's happy to retain equity and help someone come in and share knowledge and help them get going. So, you know, that sort of thing there, vendor finance or lease or things like that. There are old farmers out there who have that knowledge and they want to leave a legacy to people. And their legacies to their town and to, you know, and to younger farmers coming through to help them out. So they're out there. And it's well worth trying to talk to older farmers that maybe they will give you an opportunity. Are you jumping on the back of a tourism boom in a region? You know, those operations are out there, and obviously Australian regional tourism's probably never looked better at the moment because people can't reliably fly overseas as much. You know, those things are changing at the moment. But yeah, there's opportunities out there in those areas. Do you have insatiable passion and demonstrated skills that can make this work? And this is where Andy come in. Just had a lot of passion and just really wanted to make it work. Are you bringing farming operation from another farm that you know will work? So Damien and Tony that we spoke about earlier on, that was their thing. They had the skills, they know what's going on. They just need someone to come along. It's like, we are the experts. We've got all the skills, we've got all the passion, we want to go and do this. But for you to tap into our expertise, we need you to invest alongside us and give us the opportunity to share in some of the upside. So use your skills and your expertise as something, because, you know, there are investors out there, they need your skills and your expertise to run their properties to the best of their ability. And having someone who is passionate and has their values aligned and their key performance indicators aligned to their key performance indicators that will allow them to get the best out of their investment is really, really key. If you've skilled most of the investment, just need an investor to come and fill a small gap. So there's lots of different value angles there that you can sort of tap into, but bringing those sort of value angles together so that when people look at your farm and your opportunity, you can start to answer the what's in it for them type thing. And you share in some of that upside and they share in that upside as well. So, they give you an opportunity to go farming. You give them an opportunity to share in your expertise, your passion, your drive, and your knowledge. And it's a win-win situation for everybody. Farm financial modelling. Understanding your financial models is really, really critical. I think the one point here that they'll engage you with emotion, they'll engage your passion, but they'll invest on logic. So understanding that, how to present information to people is really critical. And I see that with farmers dealing with banks. I see that with aspiring farmers trying to present to investors. It's a lot of, how do we present this information, and how do you present that information in a really coherent way that they understand that they want to see it, is really, really critical. So, but having a good 5-year model out there, and this is what it is we're doing and how we're going about it, is really foundational to everything, because they'll look at everything and they'll get a great feeling and they'll go, yep, you guys are excellent. We really, really want you, we really want to invest in you. But if your financials aren't there, it's going to be a no. So, so understanding that. So investors want to get a sense of what returns of the farm likely to generate, and what are your key assumptions? So then, and they should be able to look at your assumptions and then go to Google and look it up and go, yeah, these assumptions make sense. So that then they get confidence in you. They want to know on that key document, how much funding do they want? How much do you want from them? What returns are they going to get? What's in it for them? That you won't run into cash flow problems, and that you understand your financial risks. So to lay out, if you're doing development, what that development is over the next 5 years, and lay out the cash flows and what's going on. Unless you have specific experience in developing this information, seek professional experience. There's lots of ag financial consultants out there. You can give me a call. I'm more than happy to help. You can come through the Cultivator system. We'll teach you how to do this. So there's a lot of different ways of doing this. We can give you the skills to go and do this if you don't have that yourself. And we encourage you to develop basic scenarios, the best and the worst, rainfall, markets and prices. So, obviously if we come off last year's scenario in a lot of places, not everywhere, but in a lot of places we had sky high prices, sky high input prices and going up, and pretty good rainfall. If we dial that into this year, we've got a high risk, high return scenario for a lot of people out in the areas I work in. But how does that relate to the next 10 years? And a lot of what we're seeing at the moment, I've been in ag long enough that markets go up, markets come down, and we've seen all this before that we're going through at the moment. Maybe not for the same reasons, but a lot of the same driving factors. So understand that things go up and down, and we've got to be able to sort of model out those different scenarios and have the ability to cover off what will happen if we do this and how we're going to mitigate the investor's risk. So they're investing in you, and we'll go through this in the risk part. They're investing in you. They're giving you their money. You need to be able to cover their risk so that they've got confidence in you. So, and that's a part of that, doing that, develop those scenarios and make sure you can cover off what's going on, so you can set them table to them. This is what happens in a great year. This is what happens in a high risk, high return. This is what happens when we get a drought for 3 years. What are we going to do? Your business model, your investment proposition, what's in it for the investor? I've sort of spoken about that briefly before. You want to make sure you've highlighted what's in it for them. The investment must be set up so that you get what you want but the investors, like everybody wants to know what's in it for them, and they want to cover that off first. So what's in it for me? What am I putting in here? And cover that off, and then fill in your expertise and how it is you're going to come in behind it. The investor has the money, but you have the expertise. Be the expert. So that's a big part of having the confidence when you're talking to them that you are the expert, that you've got the expertise to run this property. And we'll talk about teams coming down the thing where you don't have the expertise, that you've got the people around you that gives the investor confidence that you have the expertise to do the job anyway. Make sure you've got your business plan there, all articulated. And if you've got, and you might have your business plan that you've got for yourself, and then you've got a business plan that you use for the investor. And you should have your life plan sort of slightly to one side of this as well. So, you've got where you're going, what you're doing, and you've got what you're doing here with this investor, and how do they work, and they're working together. So your proposal should include, again, how much debt, how much capital, what are you going to need in the way of machinery, cash to run the property, how much are you going to put in yourself? And investors want to know that you're invested as well. So, and that's one of the key things. Otherwise, they'll go and invest in a big fund somewhere and park their money and set and forget. But for a lot of times, if they're investing in you and you're going alongside them and you've got money invested, they know that something goes wrong, you hurt as well. Something goes right, you both win. So that's a big carrot for them to be able to come together with you guys and actually, create a good relationship that works together. So, but make sure you've got these things up front. They know what's going on. Proposal for them, lease, profit share, future land transfer. So, what we talk to a lot of our cultivators about is, you're going into this, you want to buy a farm, you don't have the money, have an exit strategy in there so that you've got the ability to buy land as you go. So, some of these, so how do you share in profits? Describe the intended breakdown between you and your contribution, debt, and investor finance. So just a simple table, your contribution, $200,000, and that could be in machinery, vehicles, livestock, whatever it is that you're putting in that you might already have, whatever you can put into it, what you want for the investor, and debt finance that you'll get from a bank. So, and a lot of investors at the moment want a bit of debt involved because debt's cheap as we speak. Might be changing the next couple of years, but as we speak, as we talk right now, it's cheap. So that if they've got a level of debt that's involved, that allows them to leverage their returns. So that capital appreciation. So if if they're getting 5% capital appreciation, they're getting, and they put in $2 million, and we've got a $4 million property, they're getting 5% appreciation on a $4 million property, not on the $2 million they flat invested. Plus, you should be returning them enough that they're covering their debt requirements. So, so understand how debt is not seen as a bad thing. It's often seen as a positive. Can you incorporate vendor finance? And we can help you with that if you've got a deal that's got vendor finance. We can help you with those structures and how to set that up. What's the intended length of the arrangement, and what are the exit strategies? So always got to have an exit strategy. What happens if things go wrong? The relationship goes sour. We don't want to talk about it, but we've got to have it there up front. We know what goes on. What happens if someone gets sick and they need their money out? I've done them in the past where we've had investments between me and other people, and it's been a development over a few years' time. If you had to get out early, like if you desperately needed to get out early, there was such a penalty involved that I would have been able to use the equity in the farm to then fund the rest of it with bank finance and pay them out. It's a commitment for a period of time. So it's just a matter of making sure that when you set that up so that, you know, you're going into this process on a 2, 3, 5, 10-year process, that there's an exit strategy that allows the business to operate and continue to operate. And what's your bonus for outperformance? And this is one of the things I often talk to people within Cultivate about, is making, you know, there is a standard within the industry that if you outperform everybody, you know, the industry benchmarks, that you get a share in that. And that's because of your capacity to deliver this and your expertise. And you deserve that, and you should have that factored into your contracts, and making sure that's in there so that you share that upside. And that's your ability to tap into your expertise to then go and buy more of that property out over time, or use that expertise to then go and invest in something else. So a really important thing that you have that in your agreements and your pitch to the investors. The next part is outlining your prospective operations and your risk analysis. So it's about outlining to everybody, obviously, how you're going to operate the farm, and we'll get into risk. So obviously, you know, if you're buying and leasing back to the farm to the investor, so investors buying the property and you're leasing back, this will be a really short, easy section around, you know, your returns will be 3.5%, 4%, whatever it is, and we intend to do this operation here. And generally speaking, when you do something like that, we'd encourage, you know, someone like us to come in there and actually provide some oversight from the investor to make sure you're looking after the property. But it's a really easy sort of function. You know, if you're going to go running livestock, you know, we're going to run X amount of head to the hectare, and, you know, we'll fertiliser at this level, and we'll use lime or whatever. And these are the things we'll do to look after your property. So that's the operation thing. So then they go, right, that's covered. If you're going to buy and operate with an investor, you need to have a really good, solid outline of what's going on, when it's going to happen, a good calendar of events so they know what's happening and why. So then when you're having your monthly meetings with the investor, you can explain to them, right, this month we're doing this, and this is why. You know, we're going to go and sow crops on this date with this, you know, this kind of machinery, and these are the reasons why we do it. So just an outline of what's going on, your operations, when they happen, what's happening. You know, it's there to demonstrate your strategic planning capabilities, production knowledge, understanding markets, financial management skills. You know, a lot of the things you really understand, but you need to articulate it and sort of almost put it out like it's in a policy. This is what it is we're going to do and why. So then they've got confidence in you. And if you don't deliver on that, then they can come back and go, you know, what, hey, Tim or Sam or whoever, why haven't you done this? And that's part of a conversation you have. And these relationships, they're relationships, and you're educating them about farming as you're going. So you need to be able to talk to them about what's going on and why. But this is your document. This is your ability to show them that you have the capacity to do this, and, you know, and sort of benchmark what it is you're about. How does this flow into annual, monthly, and daily operational plan? So you should have an annual plan on what it is you're doing. You should have a monthly plan with a cash flow, budget to actuals. These are the sorts of reports you should be able to generate from your daily operational plan. They don't need to know your daily operational plan. But if they ask you, what are you doing and why, you should be able to tell them what's going on. Have you got machinery, infrastructure, and labour to execute this plan? So pulling back into that 5-year plan we initially talked about when we started doing a farm investment, why it is we're doing something, where it is we're going, what it is we're trying to achieve, that filters down to this sort of level here. We've then selected the scale of the business that we're trying to run. Then that'll fold into, right, how much machinery do we need? Have we got the right infrastructure on the farm? Do we have the labour unit set to execute on it? So that all should all flow through, so that it's all congruent, all makes sense. So when the investors are looking at this, they go, right, this all makes sense. And, you know, they've got their advisors that will be advising them on what's going on, and they go, and their advisors should be able to look at that pretty quickly and go, that's good. It's well laid out, and at least people know what they're talking about. they'll outline a task and when they need to be done, so you can then educate the investors along the way. So that here's this education piece again. I strongly recommend that when you're working with investors, they don't understand ag, you do. Use this as an opportunity to talk to them, to really strengthen that relationship and educate them about what's going on and why. Take them on the journey so that they know what's going on, why it is you're doing things. If you've got problems, why. They're sharing this journey with you. They are invested, you know, they're committed to this. They put some money into it. Be honest and upfront, talk to them about what's going on and why, and really educate them. It's a great opportunity for someone like yourself to educate people who may not have that understanding of agriculture, or, you know, what's going on and why. And that'll give them the ability to go and talk to their friends and explain what's going on. And when they've got confidence in you, they'll go to their barbecues and parties and all that in their areas, and they'll go, hey, you know, I'm working with Sam and we've got this property and it's doing this thing and it's great. I'm really enjoying it. And then their friends might go, hey, that's great. How about we go and do another one? And they'll come back to you with another opportunity. So really important that you've got all this stuff here and you've got that education and communication part down pat. Sam, do you want to talk about farm impact plans? You're the biodiversity and regen guru in this operation.
Yeah, and you know, I think thinking about Cultivate Farms and when we first started and trying to, you know, who is the audience for our investors in particular, and you know, a lot of people we deal with who are interested in backing next gen farmers and who are scaling or getting onto their own farm is they want to do good. That they're here to support communities, and that is also tied in with the environment as well. They love the idea that they're investing in and partnering with people building soil health and growing good, healthy food. And most of the farmers that we work with in Cultivate, and I think the next generation anyway, you already have that ingrained into who they are. They want to grow healthily and do the best and look after the riparian zones. And, you know, there's all those sort of standard things that Landcare, I guess, approach as well. And, you know, it doesn't have to be regenerative ag necessarily in how you do it, but the intent, I think, for many people who you are looking to partner with is they want to do good and you want to do good. And so it's making sure you highlight to them that you do have that as your values and that you do have that as part of your everyday farming operation. So I think encouraging you and having this as a key part is necessary in the proposals that we've seen, and ones that are succeeding is that intent to look after your community, to be part of your community, and to look after the land. I think it's about being explicit with it. And when we talk to farmers and they say, oh, you know, this doesn't really pop out in their proposals, and you just have a quick chat to them and you realize it is there. You know, there is that passion and that love for the land, and it's just about highlighting it and making it explicit.
Yep. Yeah. So it's pretty key. And when you start talking to everybody about it, so this is a lot of where Sam's investors come from. And if we can incorporate that, it's a high level of success, and everybody wants to know that they're doing well. Basically, it's part of when you're dealing with people, they want to know that their investment has been looked after. It's a longer term investment for them. It's a different type of investment to what they're used to. And, you know, we all know, I don't know any farmers that are out there to destroy their land. But it's just making sure we communicate that in a way that everybody understands what's going on and why. And it's a really important part of looking after their asset longer term and your asset, and just communicating that in a great way. All good. Happy with that, mate? Anything else you want to add?
I was in full agreement.
Excellent. It's a nice change. Righto. So that's part of that, just having that there so people understand what's going on and why and how it is you're looking after your asset as much as anything. Your operational processes provide an overview of how your farm plan would be executed. So this is just an outline of, how you're going to execute on this, making sure it's done so they know what's going on, how the farm system operates throughout the season, data capture, how that's used and be managed. And there's great tools out there right now for data capture. And you can give the investors access to that if you want to, so they can see, they can get on the livestock app and see where the livestock are around the farm and what they're doing, and how they're shifting about. I know I've been involved in dairy investments in the past where they've got live milking data, and the investors they can get on that and they can see what's going on. They can see how much milk's happening every day. You know, if there's an issue, what's going on. So how do you do that? You know, obviously you've got, you know, data for cropping things and, you know, horticultural farms like that and ag world and things like that. That's a really good way of just providing a level of not only compliance, but faith in the investor and going, hey, you know, we've got this system we're using, let's just say ag world for a cropping farm or a horticultural operation. And they can see when the agronomist has been, they can see when you've sprayed something, they can see when when there's been an application, when there's been a harvest, what's going on. So they've got live data they can look at and they understand what's going on, and it's bringing them into that story as well. So I think it's really, it's a really critical piece from a compliance point of view, from your point of view, and for people within your team. But it's also a great way of, you know, communicating with your investor and giving them more confidence in what's going on. And obviously we talked about reporting before, and we'll talk about that in risk as well. Marketing strategies, what marketing strategies would be used. So, you know, when you start working with other people's money, you've got to have a policy and a strategy in place for marketing. You can't just wake up one day and sell your crop. You've got to be able to explain why it is you're doing things and how. So making sure you articulate that, and you should all have that in your business as a farmer now, or if you're aspiring to have a farm, you should have, you know, a policy of knowing what your cost of production is, what your sales price is that you go into that would trigger a sale, but it's just articulating that and then using that as a communication tool as well. What marketing edge do you have that will ensure a good price for the produce? So that then gets into that end market. You know, are you going to go, you know, paddock to plate? And that's an opportunity to go and capture the full sort of supply chain yields that are out there. You know, are there opportunities out there? You know, are there other markets that you're tapping into the niche that allow you to generate a better return? Yeah, operational machinery is, you know, are they purchased or leased? So just making sure that that's articulated there. Contractors, you know, are you going to use contractors? What tasks are they going to be used for? Why would you use a contractor? Why would you not use a contractor? Just make sure you've got that. You might not articulate all of this, but you've got to be able to answer this. Do you have a plan for managing compliance with various legal requirements? Yes, you do. You will. You just need to articulate it. Okay, and that needs to be there. Compliance and risk is a big thing for investors, and you need to take as much risk off the table as possible. What are your likely staffing requirements and why? So just make sure that's articulated out there. You've thought about what the operations are going to be for the year, how it's all going to flow, and then what are your staffing requirements to make sure that you can do that. So risk, this is a really important part of the whole thing. When you're talking to an investor, you can never do a document without articulating risk. And if you want to find a good investment document for this, it gives you an outline. Duxton have done an IPO, which is publicly available. You can Google that up for one of their cropping farms. And they've got a great outline of risks and how they show to their investors what their potential risks are. So you've got to articulate, here are your risks, you know. We're going to have droughts, markets, geopolitical, you know, all these things that are risks that, you know, could make this investment fall over. And then how are you going to try and mitigate that risk to the best of your your capabilities? So, you know, and so it's a matter of making sure that you've got these things covered off so that in their mind, when they're reading this document, they're going, oh, what happens if this happens? Or what happens if this happens? Or where are we going? You know, if we get a drought, what are you going to do? You know, am I going to lose my money? You know, and that's where you say, well, we've got this model and we think this is what will happen. This is what we'll do. How are you going to cover your market risk? What are you going to do? Worker health and safety. You know, make sure you've got all your insurances up to date. Make sure you're covering your legal compliance risk. You want to make sure that they're not liable for any of your mistakes. So you need to take as much risk off the table for them as possible so that they're not exposed to your operational risk, to your marketing risk, to things that are going on. So that then that just sort of firms up the investment from their point of view. And so that they know, and it gives them confidence in your professional capacity to mitigate risk. And a lot of investors understand this better than anything else that you're going to tell them about. The farm financial models they won't get, the operational plans they probably won't get. Why would you buy farm in different areas? They'll have a bit of a concept, but not much. But risk is something that's involved in all investments, and they want to know that you're covering it. So really important you get this right. I had an old mentor of mine tell me years ago that that investor needs 100 reasons to say yes, but only one reason to say no. So if they get to a point where you haven't covered off one of your bases, that'll be a no for them and they'll walk away. So making sure you cover off, from a risk point of view, from a farm financial model, got everything together so that they've got 100% confidence in your capacity to do this job is really, really critical. And this is part of it. So, but the best part about it is that there are examples out there on the internet. You can go and find them. There's a cultivator system. And there's people like me that can help you write this up, and so that you know how to put this into your farm plan, into your business plan, so that you're covering this off. And then it's about you, your farming capabilities and experience. What are the qualities that make you stand out as someone who will run a profitable farming business and deliver the financial returns that they seek? Be bold and be confident. I think I've said a couple of times today, if you don't have confidence in yourself, why would anybody else? And I'm not saying that in a disparaging way, but you need to be able to sell your story with confidence, so that everybody looks at you and they go, yeah, this person's got confidence. They know what they're about. They know where they're going. And so then they will, and they're like, well, I'll give them a go. So, but what are your qualities that make you stand out? What are the skills that you've got that make you someone who's highly investable? And a lot of this we sort of unpack in the cultivator system, because everybody's got their own sort of area of genius. Everybody's got their capacity to do something that no one else has, and sort of trying to pull that out and understand what makes you unique. That's, and being able to sell that and bring that to the top so that people look at this and go, righto, they don't understand much about agronomy. They've got a great agronomist. They don't understand, they've got good financial support, but they're a hell of an operator. Or, and they've got the team around them, but understanding what makes you you and what makes you the good person to invest in, and your team that can bring this together. So, and we sort of spoke earlier on about Damien and Tony. It's an easier one to talk about because, they ran those properties. They've had a couple of decades of experience running properties that have produced carbon credits. So they understand the system, how to run the grazing system that allows the investor to then tap that extra market of carbon credits that's emerging. So that's a selling point for them. What is it about you that makes you unique, that can, that people will want to invest in you? So it's a great thing that we can sort of pull apart and talk to you about. If you understand where your genius zone is, awesome, good on you. Make sure you bring that to the top, so that people understand it, and they look to you as the expert that they can run this operation. Your advisory board, we heard Andy talk before about our Tiger team. It's another way of talking about it. So when you sit there and look at your list of skills, what are you missing, and who have you got around you that helps you bring this together? So you'll have an accountant that's got skills in this area and understands what's going on. Your financial advisor, people like me, agronomists, mentors, investors. What are you missing? What are you missing? If you look at this whole thing, what do you need to bring to the table to make this a successful investment? And we do this in bank documents when we write up for financing for normal farmers. we list out everybody who adds to that business, so that then, the banker then takes it and gives it to the bloke in the back room and gives it a tick or a cross. And they look at it and go, right, well, they've got a great accountant, they've got an agronomist, they've got someone's helping their management financials, and they're a good operator. Excellent. Tick, 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 tick. If they're just looking at one person, what's the risk to the investor that you've got the skills to fulfill every role? So no one can do everything. It's understanding where your weaknesses are, how to get the best people around you. Consultants, you can go and bring them in quite easily to be your team to get this off the ground. So make sure you've got that. Make sure you've got that articulated. It de-risks your investment as far as the investor's looking at, because then they've got other people they can look at that have got skills that are supporting you. So it's a really important part of the whole process. So this is sort of what we do. What you should be able to do is bring that all together. Cultivate Farms, farm pitching template. Like I said, I think the blank form is about 12 pages. By the time you fill it out, it'll be 25 to 35 pages worth of good information. And by the time you get through that process, you should have a really good idea on who you are, where you're going, what sort of farm you want to invest in, and what the sort of investors you need as well. Matching up, or the retiring farmer you're chasing, or how you're going to go about what it is. From that, you should be able to pull out your one pager, which is funnily called one pager, but there's normally two, which is the distillation of that. So we fill out the big document. We've got a good understanding of what everything's about. The one pager comes out of that, so that when you give the one pager out and you get the investor comes back to you and goes, this looks great, I want to hear more. Everything else comes out of that is congruent with that one pager. Whereas if you do the one pager first and then the big plan, they might not match up. So making sure your messaging is in line and congruent and consistent is really critical to you gaining confidence with these people. So you want to make sure what you say is consistent all the time. So then they go, yep, they're always on what they're saying. So your one pager, should be able to skim read for a minute or two at first glance. Your big three key highlights, or three big key highlights, investment highlights, bullet points, simple things, impact highlights, what are you going to do for the land, for the soil, for the local community, investment details, contact person, when you go through this process, hopefully you're all premium members. If not, I recommend you get on that, because if you want to become a farmer, we've got farms on there already ready to go, retiring farmers who are looking to get out. There's opportunities there, but you can also put your details up there, and it's a contact point. On the back page, your farm profile, who you are and why people want to invest in you. So you should be able to pull that together out of that big document that we've spoken about effectively. Again, we'll come back to these things. So this is obviously Damien Tony again. You should be able to see in that, when we come to the end of it, the things that we've spoken about, they've fed into these documents, okay? So won't go over them too much again, but this is what happens. You do that big farm pitching template, you pull that back into one of these documents. By the time you get to the end of it, unless you're running through Cultivate Farms, I'd call it your information memorandum. And that's your bigger document that you use to put in front of investors after they sign a confidentiality agreement. So there's probably a couple other steps in the process that you'd normally talk about, depending around, getting options on properties and making sure that you've got things secured before you go to the point of looking for this. But that's probably another webinar. And then here's a quick 3-minute pitching video from one of our guys, Frank. Sam, can you jump in and just hit go on that, mate? Because my videos are not running properly.
Here we go. This is Frank. We'll just play a few seconds just to give you the vibe.
Are you passionate about healthy soil and sustainability? Hi, I'm Frank Harney, and my family and I run Elmore Compost and Organics alongside our existing farming business. Our business is dedicated to improving soil quality through the use of organics. Our motto is healthy soil, healthy food, healthy humans. With our expertise, we can take any arable land and use our high-quality compost and other organic additives to turn it into a fertile country with increased yields. Our existing land holdings have shown a 1% carbon increase over 3 years. In contrast, most modern farming is eroding soil and crop quality and diminishing yields. So why do we do what we do? Because healthy soil creates healthy crops and therefore improves health outcomes for people. Plus higher yields means higher returns. Since our transition to organic certification 5 years ago, we have achieved yields of 2.5 tonnes to the hectare of organic grain, showing gross returns of around $1,500 per hectare. I'm a large-scale organic compost producer.
I'll pull it up there. I think that the main gist is here to show, Frank was part of Cultivate program and it's a great operator, but the idea of pulling a video and summarizing, stressed him out, I think, at the first time I saw it, but he went through this and now he just talks all the time about his pitch and what he wants. And it's really quick, really straightforward. And it's been a brilliant process for him. And hopefully you've seen the other pitches from other, I've done 5 pitching events now over the years, and they're all on our YouTube and website. But you can see these farmers who have gone through the same process you're hopefully about to go through and come out the other side with a really, really, punchy, clear, confident proposal.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. So I suppose the question now is, can you do this yourself? And if you can, excellent, go for it, guys. I'll recommend you get into it and attack it with as much energy and vigor as you can. But we're looking at getting that 1-page pitch document, the business plan, the financial projections, your 3-minute pitch video, getting your advisory team, your investor network, bank finance and pre-approval and advisor meetings. Is this something that you can do yourself? And if you can, like I said, go for it. But if you can't, we're here today to give you an opportunity to learn from Sam and my experience over the last 10 years in working this space to help you along the way. So, sorry. We're about to start our next cultivator intensive program. It's a 3-month cultivator program starting on, I think it was the 3rd of May, and going through to July 2022. The best applications was, the people who the best pitches we selected for a presentation at Cultivate Farms Investment Advisory Board, which could lead to investment outcomes. So there's an opportunity there, if you want to go and own your own farm, to get in front of investors coming out of this. You'll produce a farm pitch document and a presentation pitch, which you can use. So everybody will be able to do this by the end of this process. Most importantly, each farmer will have full confidence they're good enough to go own a farm and be motivated to keep finding opportunities. So we're going to teach you how to fish in this. This is us sharing with you our experience over the last 10 years, like I said, to how to go and set this up and go and do it with the opportunity to go and pitch to investors if you want to do it. If you don't, it's a great opportunity for you to work alongside Sam and myself to actually, so we can learn about you and you can learn about us. And then when opportunities come up in the future, I can look at it and go, hey, there's Scott and he's in this area and he wants to do this sort of farm and he's a retiring farmer. Or I've got an investor, which we have at the moment, investors looking for people who can operate farms. And it's not quite this one, but we'll match them up over time when the right opportunities come. So it's your opportunity for us to get to know you and gain confidence around your skills that we can then go and take that forward to opportunities down the track. So as we said, program started on the 3rd of May. Part of the program, weekly video conference sessions focused on guiding you through pitch and financial models. We have farming investment experts from across Australia. 9 sessions through May through late June, finalising your pitch video before a public pitch event. Everybody will pitch or has the ability to pitch to an in-house session. So everybody who has the ability to do that, and we normally have at least one investor in on that will be talking with you at that, and give you that feedback from an investor. Otherwise, people from our own panel sort of working with you and helping you workshop how to get that pitch refined and ready to go. But normally there's at least one investor on that pitch. So there's ability to use that opportunity to try and get in front of people. And like I said, it gives us the ability to gain confidence in you for other opportunities that come up. There's a link, which I think Sam will put in the chat. Previous cultivators gone for up to 5,500. We're charging 2,500 on that. There's an instalment plan. I think it's monthly instalments over that. Limited 12 participants on first come, first served basis. We've already got a few in there. We're not making money out of this, guys. This is purely us covering our time and effort effectively and coaching you guys. Our unashamed way that we make money out of this is that it gives us the ability to learn and find the best young farmers coming through and help match them up to investors. And we share in that deal when that comes through. So you're getting, this should be a $20,000 program at least. Like I said at the start, normally people who learn the skills that Sam and I've learned over the last decade don't share this with everybody else because you can then become the gatekeeper. We're sharing this to you guys. We know that aspiring farmers don't have much money. Our passion is to help you guys get on farm. So we're doing this in this way, and this allows us to share on the other end. So this is our cultivator intensive program. We can go through that pitch document. We help you to find out your why and where you're going, set up a proper farm financial plan, come up with a business plan that you can take to an investor with confidence and how to pitch to them. So it's going to be a great program. And yeah, if you want to join, there's the link. So yeah, that's available and ready to go now. But while we've got you here, here's your opportunity to ask any questions you want to ask of Sam and myself to try and find out information you want for free. So if you've got any questions, please fire away.
Maybe we'll just take one or two, Tim, just conscious of time as well, but I can throw in one while if we're waiting for someone else to put in. Is it worth we find people double guessing what investors want? What's your vibe on that? I've got my thoughts on it, but I do find people saying, what do you think an investor wants? What's your response to when people ask that question?
So what does an investor want? The thing is, there's all sorts of investors out there. So they all want something different.
Yeah.
So number one is to be clear on who you are and what you want, and then get the right investor for you. They do want a return. They're not in this for nothing. But there's all sorts of different people out there, as you know, Sam. And so this is why this program works well, is because we know we've got a network of investors that you get access to, and we get access to the farmers, and it's like, right, well, who might match up to create good synergies? And it's about finding out, being clear on who you are, what you want, what you're trying to achieve. Having someone like myself come in and maybe refine that if it's, to make it fit, to make it reasonable if it's not, but most people have got fairly reasonable outcomes they're chasing, and then finding the right person to work alongside you.
And that's the gist of this. This is about you as a farmer and your life. What do you want? And so many people think, what do I need to do to get somebody else who has a vision to work with me? It's like, no, this is your vision. What do you want? Make yourself attractive and go find those people who align with that. I think that is a big takeaway from all of this, that we often have to repeat over and over to our farmers. What do you want? What do you need? What will work? And then find the right people to align with what you want.
Yep. And it's there are people out there who are looking to invest in ag. It's just a matter of them finding confidence in the people that they want to park their money with effectively. So
that's it. We've got a comment here from Jasmine. We've got Samantha saying it's helpful, which is great. Can you give a guarantee the match will be achieved? The answer is definitely not. But we can guarantee you'll be full of confidence and you'll be trying 10, 20, 30, 40 people, like Andy was, just continually trying. We continually try our end, and we've got many discussions going around setting up investment funds, vehicles, and trying to get investors all over Australia motivated and going. So hopefully it's easier for when you're out and about doing this, but definitely no guarantee, but guarantee that if you follow the steps, you're going to be ready and you're full of confidence, and you'll be building your own network and leveraging ours, but building your own network to get people. And one day someone's going to say yes if you're good enough.
It's interesting. Like, so how can we find these aspiring investors, aspiring farmers within our own networks? And it's probably just being clear on who you are and where you're going. That was probably the journey of Andy a little bit. Like, she found the investor within our own networks. So it's when you're clear about where you're going and what it is you're doing, you'll naturally just have these conversations with people, and then and you'll be constantly pitching. Like, once you're clear about what you're doing, you've got confidence around who you are and what's happening, and you'll be talking to someone going, hey, I'm doing this and this is what we're trying to do. You'll be surprised who might come along and go, hey, that's great, because I'm looking to invest in something. And I don't know where to do it, and I like you guys and what you're about. So it's from your own networks, you can do it once you're clear about what it is you're doing and you've got confidence around what it is your offer is. So having that confidence. Otherwise, it's if you want to find your own networks, it's getting on Google and making phone calls and trying to find people who might be interested. It's a lot of shoe leather. And it's very doable. And there are ways of getting into that. The investors are out there and people looking. It's a matter of thinking about who might be in that and who are the high net worth. Generally, you're looking for a high net worth individuals. You're not going to a fund, because funds look for, 20, 30, 50, $100 million. There's investors out there I've spoken to in the past, and like, well, if you're not doing $100 million, we're not talking to you. And to get the confidence to run that up front is a lot of work. So you're looking for high net worth individuals who are looking to invest in farmland, and they want someone who they can align with. So, yeah, you can find them. Sam can short circuit that for you.
It's a great question, Jasmine. I'm gonna pull up stumps there, though. There are so many good questions to go through, and that's again why we set up Cultivator, is to work through all of this with you. So one, please take these and we'll send an email and use this, and we want you to succeed. But two, also think about jumping into Cultivator. It does work. It's an amazing program. It's so good to be able to connect with other farmers and get that vibe and push you along. So thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Thank you to Tim for downloading and giving all that, rich content. There is a lot there, so go for it. We encourage you to keep at it. We'll send an email. Please get in touch. I'll be in touch individually with everybody as well. I'll send an email around to everyone. But thank you, and let's get you on your farm.